So I have some new polls that paint a dire picture about the state of the USA. I'm going to share these with you here. Yet again, I'm going to warn you up front. We got some construction noise in the background. So if that bothers you, I don't know what to tell you because there's nothing I could do to stop it. I wish I could, but I can't. And however loud you hear it, believe me, I hear it much louder here in the studio, so it's a little hard to focus. But anyway, I digress. So first, let's go to the Associated Press. It's been a rough year for the American psyche. Folks in the U.S. are more unhappy today than they've been in nearly 50 years. This bold yet unsurprising conclusion comes from the COVID response tracking study conducted by NORC at the University of Chicago. It finds that just 14% of American adults say they're very happy. Just 14. Down from 31% who said the same in 2018. So it was double in just 2018. That year, 23% said they'd often or sometimes felt isolated in recent weeks. Now, 50% say that. So we doubled the number of people who say they feel isolated. The survey, conducted in late May, draws on nearly a half-century of research from the General Social Survey, which has collected data on American attitudes and behaviors at least every other year since 1972. No less than 29% of Americans have ever called themselves very happy in that survey. So, guys, that's incredible. We only have 14% of American adults say they're very happy. Just 14%. That's really a historic low. So now adding on top of that, so we're all pretty miserable at the moment, and it's understandable why. When you look at everything that's going on, it's just one thing after another, after another, after another. We just keep getting slapped in the face and getting our eyes spit in. And that leads right into this next poll. Look at this. Those Americans who say they are extremely or very proud to be Americans. You ready for this? In 2003, 92%. 2013, 85%. 2015, 81%. 2016, 81%. 2017, 75%. 2018, 72%. 2019, 70%. 2020, 63%. In 2003, almost every single American said, I'm extremely proud to be American. Now, you could say that's maybe slightly skewed because that was like we were attacked on 9/11, and historically when you're attacked, everybody kind of, falls in line and becomes more patriotic and just kind of blindly supports our leaders. And so there is a feeling of national pride that comes about when you're under attack, when you're under assault. So you could say it's skewed slightly as a result of that. But almost every American said they're extremely proud to be American. Fast forward to today, it dropped from 92% all the way to 63%. And it was a slow drop the entire time as the years went by. So, I mean, guys, listen, there are a couple ways to react to this. We know the way that the right wing is going to react to it, or at least the ones, the talking heads on TV. They're going to say, oh, would you look at that? I bet all those people who don't like America or aren't extremely proud of America, I bet you that they're lefties, and stupid lefties are unpatriotic. And they're going to use this to say, like, oh, what a breakdown in society and moral values. And, like, they probably view this as something that is a moral failing of the people who say, I'm not extremely patriotic at the moment. But the other way to react to it, and I think obviously this is a lot more nuanced and a lot more intelligent, is just try to figure out why the hell this is the case. Why have we gotten to the point where even as recently as 2013, 85% of people said they're, extremely or very proud to be Americans, and now it's 63%. I mean, if you dive into it, I'm sure you get perfectly reasonable responses from people. Guys, we're looking at a situation where the entire political system is built to screw us. And I think people are catching on to that reality, which is why when you look at the approval rating of Congress, for example, we bring this up all the time on the show, but the approval rating for Congress is usually around 20 some odd percent. 20 some odd percent. So you're talking about an elected body that you pick, and then a couple months later they ask, hey, what do you think of these guys? And everybody's like, I hate them. I think they're terrible. Because everybody knows you're picking from the lesser of two evils virtually every single time you go to the voting booth. So people know the system's not working for them. People know it's rigged in favor of the top 1% and the wealthy and corporations. People know that there's, rampant outsourcing of jobs going on and people are getting screwed as a result of it. They know that our infrastructure is falling apart. It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. We get a grade of D+ according to the Society of Civil Engineers, which tracks this thing on a regular basis. Our airports are falling apart. Every time I go to an airport here, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is so disgusting. What is there at the moment to really hang on to? The thing that I always bring up, which is my favorite thing about this country, is the First Amendment of the Constitution. I think it's wonderful. Free speech, free protest, freedom of religion, that's all wonderful. But even that's under attack now. With Trump, I'm going to do the Insurrection Act to put down the protests. And thank God it looks like it's not actually going to follow through on it. But he was threatening to just totally ignore the First Amendment and deploy the U.S. military on our own streets. It's like by the day, there are fewer and fewer things to hold on to say, hey, well, at least we got that. And so there's a perfectly reasonable explanation. People are getting absolutely hosed, man. When you have what basically has been the total destruction of the working class, the middle class, more and more people are falling into poverty. We've discussed the numbers on the show, but like nearly 80% of the country is living paycheck to paycheck. And now we have a situation with COVID-19, and our response was literally the worst in the world. I mean, somehow Germany's unemployment rate is still around 4%. They're dealing with COVID just like we are. Us, the real unemployment rate is over 20%. So people are losing their jobs. People who have their jobs are getting less money. People were already in dire straits before the crash. We've done full corporate socialism for corporations. You had the Fed coming in to prop up the stock market and investors. Again, while regular people got crumbs, a one-time payment of $1,200. The second they allow evictions and foreclosures again, there's going to be millions and millions of people who are evicted and foreclosed on. What is there at the moment to hang on to? That's a sincere question I have for everybody. I mean, I guess you get the answers like, I'm a fan of professional sports and they're coming back soon. I mean, that's literally as far as you have to go in order to make a point where it's like, wow, I'm feeling extremely patriotic at the moment. Never mind, I didn't even bring up the George Floyd killing and police brutality and how that's a major issue now, and we got videos of cops cracking skulls offensively. They're being aggressive. New videos of that like every single day. So what is there at the moment to hang on to? That's a serious question. Go ahead, answer it in your own head. What is there to hang on to at the moment to say, hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel? I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to say, oh, well, in 2020, we have an election and we can get rid of Donald Trump and replace him with Joe Biden. You're going to be doing cartwheels for Joe Biden? Is that what you're going to do? I mean, come on, man. So there's nothing. I sound like Joe Biden when I say that. Come on, man. So there's nothing. And you see the logical progression here from a high of 92% in 2003 all the way down to 63% now. Like I said, the feelings of people who are very happy, only 14% of the country is very happy. Now, listen, a lot of this stuff you could say, sure, it's beyond everybody's control, or at least it's to some extent an act of nature. But even in those situations, like with COVID-19, we could have handled it a lot better, and we didn't. So certainly in my lifetime, I think this is the biggest mess I've ever seen. I graduated into the worst economy since the Great Depression. I graduated in 2010, right into the heart of the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession. Things were bleak, man. And then now I think about what people are like today, graduating today into this economy, where you have the real unemployment rate is over 20%. And just everything feels like society's coming apart at the seams. Everything is just crumbling right in front of our eyes. And I feel for the next generation, what they have to deal with. And I haven't even mentioned like climate change, for example. And climate change, obviously, is probably the number one issue for the survival of the human race in the long term. And like I hadn't even breached that yet. So I think there's a real feeling, a real sense of pessimism at the moment, and it's perfectly rational and logical. So I'm not going to look at these numbers and try to judge people who said this. I'm looking at this and trying to figure out how and why they came to this conclusion, how and why they feel this way, how and why there's been a drop of how much? 63, 73? 30 points, right? Yeah, about 30 points. I'm so bad at math. And that hammering is starting to get under my skin. But anyway, a drop of 30 points in feelings of patriotism and only 14% of the country feeling very happy. I don't know what to tell you guys, man, but we need some major change, and we need it now. And I don't know if this country is up for it. We're watching steady imperial decline happening right in front of our eyes, and I wish I could put a little cherry on top at the end of this story for you, but I don't have it. In fact, I would guess that as time goes by, these numbers are going to get even worse because I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. And just wait until the market, which has been fully socialized, wait until that also, yet again, fails and tanks, because that's going to happen as well. And then at some point, it's just going to be like, oh, so we're just throwing monopoly money at the market at this point, because even our attempts to fully prop it up are not working. So, again, you think it's bad now? It could get a hell of a lot worse. And prepare yourself for that, because I think that's where it's going.